This week's Learning Nugget video, Resident's Guide to Section 42. This video is a reference guide for residents living in rental housing under the Section 42 Housing Credit Program. It is intended to provide a basic program overview so that residents can better understand the program. The Housing Credit Program is a federal program governed by the Internal Revenue Service. The program provides a tax incentive to build or rehabilitate affordable rental housing in the United States. The Georgia Department of Community Affairs is responsible for administering the program for Georgia. In order to be eligible to reside in a housing credit unit, a household must meet two important tests. Test number one, your household must be income eligible. Income limits are based on the number of individuals anticipated to reside in the unit. Members of your household do not have to be related, and some examples of household members can be unborn children, foster children, children away at school, even military members away on active duty. So once household size has been determined, this number is used to determine the correct income limit to apply. Some examples of income used to determine eligibility are employment income, child support, Social Security, and even interest earned from bank accounts. The total household income from all sources must be below the income limit at the time of move-in. Okay, so test number one was income eligibility. Test number two is your student rule status. The Housing Credit Program was designed to prohibit the use of the program to create dormitories or other student housing. Therefore, households in which all members are full-time students are generally not eligible to reside in a housing credit unit. An individual is considered a full-time student if he or she was a full-time student for parts of 5 or more months out of the calendar year, and the institution is responsible for defining what a full-time student is. So households where all members are full-time students may still be eligible if certain exceptions are met. The student affidavit will walk through all possible student exceptions, and if all members are full-time students, but an allowable exception can be documented, then the household will be considered eligible. An individual or household must apply for a housing credit unit at the property they wish to reside. The application process must include the completion of an income and asset review, sort of a questionnaire, in addition to a student status questionnaire. Any income or asset sources reported must be verified through third-party sources. And after eligibility has been verified, the household must sign a tenant income certification form certifying that all information provided was true and that the calculated household income is accurate. After approval, you will then enter into a lease agreement. Housing credit units must be rent restricted. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, publishes rent limits each year. If you're responsible for paying your own utilities, then your property manager must assign a utility allowance. This is an estimate of the average monthly utility costs for a unit. And to calculate the actual rent that can be charged, your property manager will then deduct the utility allowance from the rent limit published by HUD. Residents are provided a number of protections under the Housing Credit Program. All properties are subject to the Federal Fair Housing Act. properties may not discriminate based on the 7 protected classes: race, color, national origin, familial status, disability, religion, or sex. As stated before, housing credit units must be rent restricted. Residents may not be evicted or renewed without good cause. Good cause is generally defined as material violations of the lease. Income eligibility is determined at initial move-in. An increase of income will not make you ineligible to remain in your unit. However, if your income exceeds 140% of the income limit at recertification, you could be charged market rate rent if the property has market rate units. If you are a Section 8 voucher holder, you cannot be denied based on your Section 8 status. However, you must meet all other eligibility and tenant selection criteria in order to occupy a housing credit unit. As a housing credit resident, you are responsible for reporting household income, student status, and asset sources accurately, and you must comply with all lease terms. Some common misconceptions about the housing credit program. Many people think that DCA sets the rent limits for the program. However, HUD is the agency responsible for determining and publishing rent limits annually. However, DCA is the monitoring agency to make sure that properties do not exceed those rent limits. Also, many people think that rent is based on the individual household income. That is not the case. Rent is based upon a set aside designation assigned to the unit. There could be an instance where households with significantly different incomes could be asked to pay the same rent if they reside in units with the same rent set aside. Section 42 is not a subsidy program, and DCA cannot resolve all resident concerns. There are times when residents are not able to resolve a concern or an issue with a management company, and they reach out to DCA for assistance. The types of resident concerns that DCA will respond to are program violations, health and safety concerns with your unit or on the property, and fair housing. Sometimes residents reach out to us to help with landlord tenant issues or other legal matters they have with their management company. These type of resident concerns, DCA will not respond to. If you reside in a housing credit unit and you need to contact DCA to get assistance with an unresolved concern that was reported to your management company, feel free to email compliance@dca.ga.gov. To locate affordable housing in your area, visit georgiahousingsearch.org. Thanks for watching.